Welcome to Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast. This show is for purpose driven Black women ready to lead with faith, fire, power, and presence. Sis, you're not just building a business, you're becoming a woman equipped and anointed to lead one. I'm your host, your girl, leading Lady Dar, founder of the organization Black Women About Business, your business coach, mentor, and author. And I created this space just for you. Every week, we'll tap into mindset, mission, and millions. Yes, you heard that right. Millions, okay? We are tapping into how to get at that bag. This is where we do real talk, strategy, and God led wisdom to help you grow. Now let's build boldly, ladies. Hello, and welcome to Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast. I am your host, your girl, leading Lady Dar, founder of the organization Black Woman About Business, as well as the host of this podcast. And today I have with me the lovely founder, Carica Williams-Flippen. I am so happy that she has decided to join us on the podcast. I am going to introduce her, but I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself. So, as far as I know, this lovely woman here, she's a phenomenal business owner, and her story is amazing. Her story is so inspiring that I had to ask her to be on the podcast, and she delightfully said yes. So, we have her here, not as just a guest, but family lady. So, I am grateful for all of you who have tuned into this podcast and decided to allow us to not entertain you, but inspire you. Okay. So, again, the Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast is all about the mindset, mission, and millions. And we are coming for our entrepreneurs, for our founders, and for those of you who is just looking to be inspired on this journey, okay, as an entrepreneur. So I have with me again the lovely Carica, and I know we say Carica. I know she mentioned her grandmother says it one way, but she's going to tell us. But thank you so much as the founder of Dave's Uncle Dave's Cookies, okay? The
Yes.
famous and infamous filling cookies filled with love.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So would you love to tell us about yourself, Kirka? How would you say, as an entrepreneur, your journey here? Who are you and what is it that you do? And tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So yes, I did share with you that my nana, she did call me Carica. But it is Carica Williams Flippen. And yeah, so my nana got away with that her life. But so I am the owner and the head baker of Uncle Dave's Cookies. We are a micro bakery in Ambler, PA, and we specialize in big stuffed gourmet cookies. My entrepreneurship began before Uncle Dave's Cookies, but I will just give a brief background on that and then lead up to how I started with Uncle Dave's Cookies. So I started out I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset ever since a little girl. I did lemonade stands outside of our apartment. I did errand running. I did babysitting. In high school, I sold dinners and cakes. In college, I sold dinners and cakes. Like I always had that mindset. I had a cleaning business. Then after I graduated from Temple University, Fox School of Business, whoop, whoop, cherry and white,
Hey,
I
Temple.
started doing small business consulting. I noticed that I was one of the only people in my circle that had business school background. And I was connected with a lot of different people who wanted to start businesses and just kind of didn't know the groundwork for it. So I took a lot of what I learned in school and began to help people with mostly family and friends with their business ideas. And then I started the Women of Color Entrepreneurs networking group back in 2000, the earlier 2000s. And in that group, I worked with a lot of the women and helped them with their branding, their marketing, just the initial steps to get their businesses started. Then I went back into corporate America and I did that off and on. I did consultancy off and on, always on the side. Then we're going to take a big gap or big leap up into the time of 2020. I was working for I was working for a company contracted for the National Park Service, and I absolutely adore my job. I thought it was great. I didn't know if I was going to retire from there, but I absolutely wanted to stay there. But 2020 happened, the pandemic came, I got laid off, and we all know what happened then. So it was like nearly impossible to find another job out there because everyone was getting laid off. And I said, well, let me just fall back on some of the things that I already know. So I just went full time into entrepreneurship. I went full time into consultancy, and I began to target my audience to help women reclaim their dreams and step out on faith and start their businesses. So I started CE Williams Consulting, and I did that all throughout 2020, all throughout 2021. And then I said, okay, I'm helping women face their fears, overcome obstacles to start their business. Let me take my own advice. What's something that I haven't done that I wanted to do? And I revisited a love of my heart, and that was writing. So I went and wrote and self-published my first book back in 2020 or 2021, and it was Overcoming the Fear That Has Delayed Your Dreams workbook. So I wrote that, and from that, a lot of doors opened. Truly blessed me. I had different workshops off of that book. People bought it. Photocopied the workshops worksheets, and just had different workshops and different things from that. And that was truly a blessing. Then I did that from 2020 all the way up until 2023, pretty much. That is what I did. I work with all different types of women. But then 2023 happened, and I took a major shift, and I ended up in this area that I never thought I would end up in, and that is baking. So in September of 2023, I lost my Uncle Dave, and he was and by far my person. He was my very best friend, and I lost him suddenly. I lost him unexpectedly and in a very traumatic way. I believe when you lose someone without even getting to say goodbye, it just has a different type of trauma associated with it. So it was very traumatic. He walked into the dentist and he didn't walk out, and that is like the long story short. So when I lost my uncle in 2023, in September 2023, I that was my first time ever ever experiencing grief. And I didn't know what my body was going through. I didn't know what my mind was going through. I had experienced loss. I knew what it felt like to be depressed when you lose someone. I knew what it felt like to be sad, but I didn't know what grief was. And I did not think that I was ever going to reclaim myself again. I don't know if that was depressed. I don't know what I was. I just had all kinds of crazy thoughts and different things happening in my body. My faith was challenged, relationships were challenged. It was just a lot of strain. And I began to say, okay, what can I do in a healthy way to have a distraction? Because I couldn't sleep at night. I didn't want to get out the bed. And then these triggers, things that I didn't know anything about they were affecting me. And I'm like, I'm never going to get back to normal. Like, why am I even here anymore? Like, this is how my life is going to continue to be. So I said, let me learn something that I don't know how to do. And I started thinking I love to cook, but I don't know how to bake. I know how to bake pound cakes. Let me change that. I know how to bake pound cakes and pineapple upside down cake, but I didn't know how to bake cookies. So I'm like, you don't even know how to bake a simple cookie. Why don't you learn how to bake a cookie? So at night, when I couldn't sleep, if I wake up at 3 a.m. or if I couldn't get the rest, I would just like go through my phone and start reading about the science of baking cookies and seeing how I could bake cookies. And then I just started getting in the kitchen and started trying to bake cookies. And Lady Dar, them cookies look like pancakes. I know they look good. They was bubbling over, and it was like, what is going on? How can't you bake a simple cookie? Like, this is crazy.
Mhm.
And I had cookies
Mhm.
all in the freezer. I had people testing the cookies. They were like, yeah, they
Mhm.
good. They good. And I knew they weren't. But I just kept at it. I kept at it. And then I'm like, let me try
Okay.
something different. Let me stuff the cookies. And before I know it, I let people try them, and they said they were good. And I'm like, okay, like, girl, I think you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to be all right. You're doing something again. You're finding joy in something again, and you're going to be all right. So I went to my husband and I was like, babe, I think I want to start a cookie business from home. Now he looked at me real funny. He looked at me real funny. And he was like, you want to start a cookie business? And I said, yeah, I want to start a cookie business from home. And he was like, listen, whatever you want to do, that's going to get you up out this bed, get you washing your
Mhm.
tail, and being an active and productive member of society. I 110% support you, and we can do it. And, at that time, I don't know if he thought that it was like, just something that I wanted to do just to actually get up and get about again. But I started figuring out how do you have a business from home? Doing cookies. And I applied with the Department of Agriculture. And before you know it, they came out, they inspected my home. And in March of 2024, we launched Uncle Dave's Cookies. We launched a business because it was in cookies that I found healing, and that is what we believe. We believe that something as simple as a cookie can lead to a path of healing and hope. And we've been on and popping since then. That's
Well,
that's that's kind of it up in a
lovely.
nutshell. I hope that was informative.
That is a very lovely story that was formed out of pain.
Yes.
So many things stand out to me, and just hearing your story, reading your story, and understanding, how Uncle Dave's Cookies came about. This one particular thing out of many, most times we as humans, not even just as women or not even a woman of color, we will eat away our pain. So, depression looks different for all of us, but some
Yeah.
people will sleep away their depression, sleep in that depression, eat away that depression, cry and become angry and bitter, and so many different emotions we feel behind grief, and sometimes aren't able to name it, call it. But what
Yeah.
I really love about your story is that you were in this kitchen creating these cookies, learning how to make cookies, not just to eat, but to really move yourself and to kind of shake off what you were feeling, and how God moved in that area in your life. Yes, teaching you how to bake something you didn't know how or you weren't too familiar with, but
Yeah.
even still, like that, your entrepreneurial spirit kicked in like 100, because you said, I
Yeah.
decided to look at the science behind it. Not just I'm gonna get in this kitchen, open up a pack of Pillsbury Easy Bake and put it in the oven and just eat.
Right.
That entrepreneurial spirit kicked in. God moved through not just you, but also your husband, who said, listen, anything to help you up out of this, I'm going to support. So
Yeah.
your mission
Yeah.
here, and you going all the way back to you being the entrepreneur before, starting a small business consulting. That's pretty much what I do here with Black Woman About Business, and helping other women, gain the confidence to one say, you know what, I think I may can do something different here. Women who have been in jobs like 30 years plus, like realizing like, I think it's more to life than me just sitting here. So helping women build that confidence, gain the clarity, so I love that part of your entrepreneurial journey. And then you also said
Thank you.
you were able to fall back on something you knew. When COVID hit, a lot of businesses were birthed. Books were written. Authors, walked into this journey as as an author. So many things happened in 2020. We lost
It
people who were
did.
near and dear to our heart, right? But your power. And this is what I love about having casual conversations or interviewing women and finding out about their stories, because a lot of times
Yeah.
we're sitting on our gifts and our talents, and sometimes grief has to happen, a loss has
Yeah.
to take place, some eye-opening experience take place before we realize our gifts and our talents. And even though you are already operating in your gifts and talents, but look at what else came out of the loss of your uncle. And my condolences to you and your
Yeah.
family, because, like you said,
Thank you.
to lose someone suddenly, I mean, to lose someone is painful, but to lose someone suddenly, he walked in a dentist and didn't walk out. I'm so sorry for that. I'm sorry for your loss. My condolences
Thank
to
you.
you and your family. Um, whew, just had to sit in that for a moment, because you could have easily given up. And I'm sure a part of you died with him, but there was
Yeah.
that, I guess, connection and that love that you had for him that really sparked something in you that said, it doesn't die here. You have to keep going,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing your
Yes.
story. Thank you for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story with us. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
desire to keep going. That says a lot. One of the questions I always ask is, what first inspired you to step into entrepreneurship? But we know this now. But what
Mhm.
keeps you going? Because even though you have the business, what keeps you going? Because if as any entrepreneur, many of us, we still face challenges as a entrepreneur, as
Yeah.
a founder, what keeps you going?
Yeah. And I think no matter what, I mean, no matter what you do in entrepreneurship, it's always going to be something that happens, and you have to have a made up mind. That's the first thing. Like, I have a made up mind. This is what I want to do. And set aside from, even if I stop doing the cookies tomorrow, my mind is made up that I will succeed and I will move forward as an entrepreneur having my own. So I think it does start with your mindset. If you don't work on your mindset, you might as well just let everything else go, because there are going to be bad days. There are going to be people that don't support you. There are going to be people that talk about you. You know what I mean? There will be times where there's no money. There'll be times where things don't look great. Then there'll be times when you're living on a high and you're so happy that you did it. And then there'll be moments where you're so disgusted in yourself because you don't know how you did it and how you got to this point. So I think I keep going because I have a made up mind that this is what I want to do. And I believe and know that this is where God has me in this time and
Mm,
in this season. Now, whether, we'll be the next Oreo, the next Nabisco, I'm honestly not looking that far down the road. I'm looking at right here and now and strategically planning out as the story is unfolding, because this was a completely new area for me. I've never, maybe when I was in college, I think I was a cashier. When I was a cashier at Joann's Fabrics. Okay. That was the last
okay.
time I probably had a job where I stood on my feet. So it's like, they say I'm middle aged now. I don't know, but that's what the world says, that I'm middle aged now. So to start something like a bakery and to be standing on my feet, literally from the moment I start until I stop, it's a totally different area for me. And it's still taking a lot of adjustment, and I'm still learning because I didn't know how to bake a cookie. That's not for pretend, that's for real. So even now, I'm still learning. I'm still hitting failures. I'm still staying up all night baking cookies and they're not coming out right. And I'm like, well, you just came out right yesterday. So why is this cookie not
Mhm.
coming out right now? So it gets all this frustration and
Your
money
made up mind.
that you feel is wasted,
Mhm.
but it starts with that. So my mind is made up and I'm determined to do it. And also, I found healing in this space, and I was also introduced to a community of grievers, and my empathy level has increased. I've always been someone that has been very sympathetic to individuals, friends, and family who have had loss. I've always been that person, but now it's like on 100. So a portion of all of our sales we do use to gift grieving families boxes of cookies. So that keeps me going as well, to be able to use this platform for selling cookies, also to use it as a safe space to talk about grief, because it's like, nobody wants to talk about it. You feel like it's sad, and I just began to look at so many people around me who had great losses and compound loss and grief, lost parents, lost children. And I'm looking at them like they're getting up every day, still living, still trying their best to make it through life while a huge part of their heart is in heaven. And for that, it opened my eyes to be like, I communicate, I laugh with these people, and all the time, their heart is still broken. God, they just know how to move on and to live with it and, have their faith and their beliefs carry them on. So that is another reason why I keep going, because I want to be present and be, have our business be a safe space, a sweet space to, talk about grief. You can laugh in grief, you can
Yes.
joy in grief, you can be sad, and you can enjoy your cookie in it.
Another question that I had was, how did your personal life experiences shape the way you run your business? But you shared that and made a made up mindset. Having a made up mindset and determination sets the tone because, as again, we do face those highs and those lows. You have a dual blessing here with this business. You not only allow your cookie sales to be a part, like the proceeds to be a part of the grieving families and sharing the proceeds, but you give them an opportunity, a platform to be able to share. So that's a dual blessing. You see, that is a dual blessing. And I think that says a lot for a woman in business. It shows leadership, it shows compassion, faith, community. It says a lot. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. Thank you.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
What advice would you give to women who want to start business but feel overwhelmed or unsure as to where to begin? Someone who may not have grief that hit them, uh, to another woman that may just be trying to figure out, like you said, we're considered middle age. Now what?
Mhm.
After I've
That's what
raised
they
the
say, Lady
children,
Dar.
yeah, I don't know. That don't apply to us. It don't apply to us. What advice would you give to someone who, is thinking about like they're tired of where they are? Someone that's 50 and, been coming to the same job for about 20 years and, want something new.
For that woman who is overwhelmed with their situation and asking me, where do they start or how do they get past? I think the first thing is you have to be tired and ready, period. People spend their whole life wanting to do something, but the first thing that stops them is fear. They're afraid because they don't know what is next. You're complacent and you're comfortable in the norm. So when you're
Yeah.
really overwhelmed and when you really feel like, oh, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that, well, that's just not true because you still have more days in front of you. And the longer you say, I'm too old, 10 years will go by, you'd be like, dag, if I had just started 10 years ago when I said it, then. Oh, I'm 45. I can't start a business. I'm 50. I can't start a business. Before you know it, you'll be 60. And you'll be like, well, dag, if I just started when I was there. It doesn't, your age has nothing to do with your success. It starts right here and it starts with, confronting the fears that you have, realizing what it is. And although grief put me here, the spirit that I have inside of me is what keeps me here. And no matter what, I would have been here, even if it wasn't in this cookie space. I still would have been somewhere in entrepreneurship. So I want to speak to the woman, us middle-aged women, and particularly the Black women. We carry so much. We are that
Yes.
woman. We are that one. We are that go-to for everybody and everything. And it's the majority of us that carry that on. We carry it on for our families, for our children, for our spouses. It's not until we get to these ages where the kids are gone, that we start reflecting on the things that we want to do because we spent most of our life sacrificing who we are and the things we wanted to do because we were raising families, because we were trying to have, this stability. But there's a moment that's never too late. It's your time. If you feel it in your heart, just start. People say,
Just
well, how did
start.
you know how to start a cookie business? You know what I did? I Googled it. That's
Mhm.
literally how. People, well, how did you know you needed a license? I Googled it. That's what I
Yes. See,
did. It didn't take a whole lot. You know what I mean? It took me laying in the bed one day, tapped on the little icon on my phone, and how can I sell cookies legally from home in Pennsylvania? And that's where
there
it
we go.
started.
That's
That's
it.
just where it started. You just make up your mind that you want to do it and realize that everything you poured into everyone else, it's time to pour into yourself. Make a plan,
There we go.
be realistic about it. Okay. I never tell people to just be like, oh, just jump out there and do it. No, be realistic about it. Be strategic. Make sure that you can, do what it is you want to do. Learn as much, about what you want to have. But it definitely starts right here and putting yourself
That's right.
first.
Having that made up mind, and one of the things that I would add to that is
Yeah.
when you're tired, you have the made up mind. You said tired. You said and be ready. And I want to say connect with someone who is doing the work. You see, don't just
Yes.
watch from afar and do a comparison of
Yes.
where they are and where you are, but connect with them and be willing to be
Yes.
a student, and even if you're a student of Google, like you just
Yes.
said, you quickly picked it up, start researching, and that's what we have to do, ladies. We cannot be afraid to take that next
Absolutely.
step. Even if that next step is a Google search, even if that next step is to call someone who is already doing the work, sis, maybe it's just for encouragement. Maybe it's for
Right.
direction. You see? So I love that about you. I really love, and one of
And
the
one
one
other
of the
thing, Lady
things,
Dora, I want to say is that's absolutely true. Connect with someone else, have a mentor. Don't be so think about pride and definitely do not fall into comparison that, oh, I
yes,
wish, looking at other people and what other people are doing. don't compare what someone else is
That's
doing
so
because it's
true.
really easy for me to be like, dang, I wish my cookies looked like that. Or I would, don't do that. Stay in your lane and know that what God is calling you to do and put on your heart to do, He will make it great for you for what you're doing. Not don't worry about what
Absolutely.
anybody else is doing.
Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons why I love storytelling. I love allowing or creating platforms for women to be able to share their stories because there is a person, maybe many, hundreds, maybe, but there's someone who is going
Yeah.
to hear what you're saying. And your story is going to touch that life, that person, and inspire them to shake off the grief, to even if it's to shaking off the grief to just go get a shower. It may be shaking off the grief to read a book. And maybe shaking off the grief to say, I've been sitting on this long enough. Let me move. You see, so I love it. I really love it. When you hear a Black woman about business, what do you think of? Like, Black woman about business means so many different things to so many different women. But I don't just look at it as a woman in business. I also look at it as a woman who is about her business. And I can see you're
Yes.
about your business, sis. You are truly about your business.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was going to say that when you say black woman about business, that's how I take it. A black woman about her life, about having things in order, around her, about the woman that I spoke of earlier. She may not always have all her ducks in a row, but you better believe that as she's going, she's getting them together as she's going. She's about making sure that she gets to the end of what it is that she has to do. And she's a juggler, she's resilient, and she's that woman. That's how I look at, black women about business. It's my mom, it's you, it's my neighbor, it's my auntie, you know what I mean? It's my cousin, it's my daughter. That's what I see. It looks
And
different on
so
everybody.
often it really does. It really does. As an entrepreneur, even as someone working in corporate or someone working at McDonald's, you could still be a Black woman about business because a lot of times,
Absolutely.
life happens to all of us. It doesn't matter what you're a founder, the COO, and just recently, and speaking of that, I started out, when I first started, I was like, oh, I'm the CEO of my company. And, no, I am the COO. I now brand myself as the COO of my business, meaning God is that chief executive officer. He's the CEO. I'm the COO, the chief operating officer, right? And the reason why is because things happen, right? And when those things happen as a woman or as a mother, as a business owner, I may fall off. But it's about getting back on. And that's what make you about your business is that I'm not giving up. We got to keep going. And sometimes in order for you to keep going, you got to connect to the source. You got to connect to that higher power. That's why I always talk about the mindset, the mission, and the millions. The millions is going to come because I heard you say this. It may be days when the money is not flowing. It doesn't mean because when you get into business, knowing that there's a mission behind it,
Yes.
days when I don't make money, it doesn't stop me. It doesn't. You see, but the mindset of it all, made up mind. You saying that was
Yes.
the key to everything. A made up mind, being tired, but being ready. That's powerful,
Yes,
sis. That's very
absolutely.
impactful. Very.
Thank
So I
you.
really appreciate you, sharing of your leadership and your business growth and, community and faith. That is the key because your
Yes.
grief is allowing you, your lived experience is it's opening up doors to allow others to say, it is okay to say, I'm not okay. It is okay to show up
Yeah.
and knowing that I don't have all the answers, or I just want to cry
Yeah.
today, or, I'm
Right.
just in so much pain, pinpointing it, not just pinpointing what we feeling, but maybe giving it a name, a title. If it's
Mhm.
depression, it's okay.
Right.
This coming Saturday, I'm speaking on a panel for maternal Black health and just being an advocate in a community and just advocating for women, Black women, women of color, and, you know, mental health is everything. And
Absolutely.
when it came to me a couple of nights ago, is that we're speaking in terms of maternal health coming up this Saturday, but just women of color and mental health, period, says a lot. And if we're not connected to the source, Carica, we may very well lose our purpose in life. And you just think if you had given up, if your husband wasn't supportive, how many lives would still be affected? You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have come into the lives of so many people who are not
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
enjoying a stuffed cookie, they're watching your journey. So, sis, I want to say keep going, keep doing the wonderful and amazing
Thank
things,
you.
touching the lives of many, whether it's in consulting or baking. I've shared with you many times. I met Carica ladies out here. I met Carica through her mother, who is also a business owner and author. You know, and Carica was one of the vendors at the Black Woman About Business Expo. And yes, we have our date for our expo for all. It's August 8th. 2026. Yes. And I'll share more information about that later. But just meeting you and your story, I think your mom shared with me before I had met you, your story. And I just was like, wow, I want to meet her, and then at your mom's book
Yeah.
signing was when I met you. And, you're just an amazing woman of God. And I'm grateful to have met you. I'm, again,
Same.
sorry for your loss, but thank you for showing up for us, honey. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have met you and to just be a part of this platform. It's been a blessing, and I just
Yeah.
love how God connects, us. He just makes very divine, and strategic connections. And I am really blessed to just be here in this space and have this opportunity to share my story. Because wherever I go, I'm like, I want to share my story. I want to share it because you don't know who else you're touching, because what you do is never for you. Like you said, it's never for you, it's for
Honey,
someone
yeah,
else. It's never,
truly.
if, somebody else is doing something for me that got me to do what
Mhm.
I'm doing, and I'm doing something that's really helping someone else. But I do want to encourage people that are in pain, that I know that it's difficult and I don't know how to tell you how, but there has to be purpose in it, to find purpose in your pain and not to allow your pain to consume you and overtake you. Be human and go through a human experience, whatever that may look like on you. I know when I was in grief, I had a friend tell me, I just don't know how to show up for you because you're always the strong one. You're always the one that is helping me. So I just don't really know how to show up for you. And I think that is something that as Black women we get this title of strong, whatever that means to be. Oh, she's such a strong, woman, and she's a strong Black woman, as if we don't have vulnerabilities and weaknesses. And that was probably the moment I had my greatest vulnerability. I just needed someone to have discernment and just to see that I was completely broken beyond repair.
Yeah.
So to be
Yeah.
that person, you have to find purpose, because I say if there's no purpose in it, God has to have some purpose in this, because if not,
Always.
where would where I don't know where I would be. So I have to find it. So I do want to encourage, the women that are listening, you can still be strong and you can still have weakness. The both can exist at the same time. Just learning that, we can be vulnerable, we can be soft and still be strong and still, do the things that we have to do.
Yes, yes, and amen. So it is okay to not be okay, but what is not okay is
Yeah.
to not say anything.
Yes.
So,
Say
Terica, thank you
something.
for sharing your heart. We thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom and your journey with us. Tell our listeners where they may find you at.
You can find us on all socials. Uncle Dave's Cookies. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. Uncle Dave's Cookies. I'm on Facebook as well. Under my professional Facebook or personal account is Carica. I think Carica E. Williams. You can find us online at UncleDave'sCookies.com, where we take orders 24 hours a day. So we're always open. We ship nationwide, straight to your door. We were featured on our local station, PHL 17. We do corporate events, we do special events. We do fundraisers. I'm telling you, we have what you need. We know what you need and we have it. We do custom sympathy boxes. So make sure you, find us. We're out there. I promise you. Once you come over to Uncle Dave's Cookies, you'll definitely want to join the family.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that I am a part of the family. Your story is just always a reminder that with passion and perseverance and purpose, we can build anything God places in our heart. And I'm just grateful again for your yes to what you're doing out here in our
Thank you.
community. Allow your faith to continue to bless you and lead you. And again, as I stated before, so our lovely guests that we have on here, you being one of them, Karika, we're going to bless you
Okay.
with our Zoss tea. And we would just love it if you just would share it and, just tell us what Zoss mean to you. So look out for that and we will connect behind the recordings. Yes. So thank you again to all of my lovely listeners out there. Stay blessed. And remember, it is all about the mindset, the mission, and of course the millions, but we'll get there. We will get there. Okay. So I'm
Right.
grateful to you. Just thank you. And may God continue to bless you on this journey
Thank
as an
you.
entrepreneur. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you, Lady Dar.
Yes, you're welcome. To all my lovely listeners out there, thank you for tuning in to the Build Her, Be Her podcast, where faith meets business and confidence becomes your currency. Whether you're starting from scratch or scaling with purpose, just remember you are the brand, you are the builder, you are the beauty behind the business. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share this episode with your business besties. And if you're ready for coaching or collaboration, slide into my DM at Black Woman About Business or email me at info@blackwomanaboutbusiness.com. Until next time, walk in your Zoss, sis. That's it. Yes, walk in your Zoss, anointed confidence, divine purpose, and unshakable swag. Let's build her so you can be her. It's your girl, Leading Lady Dar. Have a good one.